On the morning of July 15, 1974, viewers of WXLT-TV in Sarasota, Florida tuned in for what was supposed to be another routine airing of the morning talk show Suncoast Digest, hosted by 29-year-old journalist Christine Chubbuck. Christine was known by her colleagues as intelligent, deeply committed to her work, but also quiet and somewhat withdrawn. What they didn't know was that she had been battling severe depression for years, confiding in only a few people that she struggled with loneliness, romantic rejection, and the belief that her career was stagnating. The station had recently been leaning toward more sensational and violent news coverage to compete with rival channels, something Christine personally disagreed with. That morning, she calmly began reading the news as usual, starting with 3 national stories. Then she reported on a local shooting incident, and after stating that viewers would now see another first attempted suicide, she drew a revolver from under her desk and shot herself in the head live on air. The broadcast immediately cut to black before resuming with a technical difficulties slide, but those who saw it would never forget the sight. Her colleagues rushed her to the hospital where she died later that day. The footage was never rebroadcast and remains locked away, but audio descriptions and retellings have kept the incident alive in media lore. Christine's death was shocking not only because it happened live on television, but because it forced the public to confront how little they truly knew about the inner struggles of people they saw on screen. It also prompted discussions on mental health in journalism, the ethics of news sensationalism, and the impact of television's push for higher ratings at any cost. Over the years, Christine's tragic on-air death has been examined in documentaries, fictionalized in films, and endlessly discussed online, cementing it as one of the most disturbing and haunting moments in TV history. On May 23, 1999, professional wrestling fans around the world tuned into WWF's Over the Edge pay-per-view event from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri, expecting an evening of scripted entertainment and athletic spectacle. Among the performers was 34-year-old Owen Hart, a beloved Canadian wrestler known for his skill, charisma, and comedic timing. That night, Hart was scheduled to appear as his Blue Blazer character, a superhero-style persona meant to parody over-the-top wrestling gimmicks. As part of the stunt, he would be lowered from the arena rafters by a harness and quick-release mechanism, designed to let him drop the final few feet into the ring for a dramatic entrance. But as millions watched live and thousands in the arena looked on, something went catastrophically wrong. Hart's harness released prematurely while he was still over 70 feet above the ring, sending him plummeting chest first onto the top rope and then to the mat. The fall was instantaneous, and although the live broadcast quickly cut away from the ring to focus on the shocked audience, the horrifying reality spread rapidly among commentators and fans. Medical staff rushed to the ring, performing CPR as the crowd fell into a stunned silence. Moments later, announcer Jim Ross, his voice trembling, informed viewers that what they had seen was not part of the show. Despite emergency efforts, Hart was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital from internal bleeding caused by blunt force trauma. The WWF controversially decided to continue the event, a decision that sparked outrage and intense public debate about safety standards, the risks of stunt work, and the ethics of live performance. In the years since, Hart's death has remained one of wrestling's darkest moments, often revisited in documentaries and news specials. For many who saw or heard about it that night, the incident shattered the illusion of wrestling's controlled danger, serving as a haunting reminder that even in entertainment designed to thrill, tragedy can strike without warning, and the world can witness it in real time. On January 28, 1986, millions of Americans gathered around televisions in classrooms, homes, and workplaces to witness what was supposed to be a triumphant moment for the U.S. space program. NASA's Space Shuttle Challenger was set to launch from Cape Canaveral, Florida, carrying 7 astronauts, including Krista McAuliffe, a high school teacher from New Hampshire who had been selected as the first civilian to fly into space as part of the Teacher in Space project. The mission had already been delayed multiple times due to weather and technical concerns, but on that freezing Florida morning, despite unusually cold temperatures, NASA proceeded with the launch. At 11:38 a.m., the shuttle lifted off into a clear blue sky, and crowds cheered as the bright plume of smoke rose higher. But just 73 seconds after liftoff, a white flash and massive fireball erupted as the shuttle disintegrated before the stunned eyes of viewers. On live television, the smoke trail split into two, and pieces of debris rained into the Atlantic Ocean. For a few moments, confusion reigned as NASA announcers continued narrating without fully realizing the extent of the disaster. Teachers and children who had tuned in to watch McAuliffe's historic journey were suddenly confronted with the horrifying reality that all 7 crew members had been killed. Later investigations revealed that a faulty O-ring in one of the solid rocket boosters had failed due to the cold, causing the explosion. The footage was replayed endlessly on news broadcasts, and the disaster became a defining moment in American history, raising questions about NASA's safety protocols, decision-making, and the risks of space exploration. The Challenger tragedy wasn't just a disaster, it was a deeply traumatic shared experience for an entire nation, seared into memory because it unfolded live before millions of unsuspecting viewers who had tuned in expecting inspiration, only to witness one of the most shocking tragedies ever broadcast on television. On November 24, 1963, just 2 days after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, the nation was gripped by the ongoing investigation into the prime suspect, 24-year-old former Marine Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald had been arrested for the murder of Dallas police officer J.D. Tippit and was charged with killing the president, though he insisted he was a patsy and denied all involvement. The Dallas Police Department planned to transfer him from their city jail to the county facility, and because the Kennedy assassination had captivated the entire country, reporters and TV cameras were invited to cover the transfer live. Around noon, viewers across America tuned in as Oswald, wearing a dark sweater over a light shirt, was escorted through the basement garage by detectives. The atmosphere was tense but procedural, until a man in a dark suit and fedora suddenly emerged from the crowd. It was Jack Ruby, a local nightclub owner with alleged ties to organized crime, who had been lurking among the press. Without hesitation, Ruby stepped forward, pulled out a Colt Cobra revolver, and shot Oswald once in the abdomen at point-blank range. Oswald let out a sharp cry of pain and collapsed to the floor as chaos erupted. Reporters shouted, officers wrestled Ruby to the ground, and the live television feed captured the entire event in real time. Millions of Americans, still reeling from the shock of Kennedy's assassination, were now watching his accused killer die on live TV before he ever stood trial. Oswald was rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital, the same place Kennedy had been pronounced dead just 48 hours earlier, and was declared dead within minutes. The surreal and violent nature of the event fueled conspiracy theories for decades, with some believing Ruby acted to silence Oswald before he could reveal more about the assassination. The footage remains one of the most replayed clips in news history, symbolizing the moment when real-life violence invaded the living rooms of ordinary Americans, and cementing it as one of the most haunting live television moments ever recorded.